Right, guys, welcome back to the Curious Mind podcast. Today we have Coach Emmaline, and I know no easy way to go about this, but just give a little introduction to who you are and sort of what you do.
Oh, g'day guys. Coach Emmaline is Australian, if you didn't pick that up from the g'day. But I live in the UK. I am an online coach. I kind of have two niches. I work with like normal people that just want to get strong. And normal people who have a fucked up relationship with food and are sick of yo-yo dieting and want to break free of that. So that's a very simplified version of what I do. Who I am, I'm someone who likes to travel, likes to lift heavy shit. I train for strong women. I value my time with my friends, value some good food. Yeah, that's kind of a little touch base on who I am.
Was it always like that? In
Like
terms
what?
of what you enjoyed now?
Yeah, I've always loved being active. I've always loved hanging out with my friends. And I've always wanted to travel and finally did it within the last few years and discovered, yeah, I really like this shit.
Yeah. And what sort of made you take the leap?
I kind of just realized, like, one, I was getting older. Time wasn't going to slow down for me. And I'd been so scared of doing shit for so long. And, like, I'd been stuck in a lot of dead-end relationships that kind of held me back and kept me stuck in my small town in Australia. And once I broke free of that, I was like, all right, I literally sat down and had a good hard look at myself. And I was like, what is actually stopping me? What is physically in the way of me doing the things that I want to do? And the main one there being travel and moving somewhere away from my small town. And if you pull out all of the mindset shit of like, I'm scared of this and what might happen if this, if you pulled all of that out, the only thing physically stopping me was I had no savings and I had no money to be able to do it. So I was like, right, if that's technically the only thing stopping me, I can do something about that. And so I got a second job and a third job, and I worked crazy hours for like a year and a half, saved up all the money and went traveling and never looked back.
Fair play. And like, with being so busy and obviously trying to save so much money, like how did you sort of integrate any sort of lifting regime, if you did?
I didn't have a wonderful relationship with exercise at this point. Like, I was, well, fortunately, one of those people that when I started going to the gym 8 years ago, I fell in love with it straight away. Like, within the first month, I was hooked. I loved this shit. However, because I loved it, it was exercise above all else, and it was gym above all else. So, you know, if you look back at that time where I was working crazy hours and I was training all the time, I was training like 6 days a week and working 50 to 60 hours a week. And the thing that took a hit was my sleep, because I was like, I can sleep when I'm dead. You know that mindset. I was like, I can sleep when I'm dead. I've got training to hit and I've got work to go to. I can sleep later. And like, it took me a while to sort of break free from that. And I actually joined a group coaching platform with Darren. I jumped on Darren's group coaching. Darren Cartel, if anyone doesn't know him. And he was like, you need to train less. Sleep is a big priority. I was like, nah, whatever. And I was like, so I think he talked me down from 6 days a week to 5 days a week of training. And like, dropping that day just like reduced stress, increased sleep. I worked really hard on increasing my sleep, and sort of I learned about the impact that sleep has on progress. And because I was always wondering, I was like, why are my friends making so much more progress than me, even though we're all training the same and in the same calorie deficits and all of that? And it turns out they were just sleeping and I wasn't. I was stressed to the max all the time. So I was like, I'm working really hard, but like, hard work's no good if you're burnt out. So once I sort of dialed it back a little bit and found a bit more balance, I did start to sort of get better results. So it wasn't a matter of fitting training in, it was a matter of fitting some relaxation and some sleep in that was the hard part for me.
How was it impacting you then? So like the lack of sleep, the crazy hours, and then how did you get to the point where you realised like, fuck, I can't keep doing this?
I didn't really. Like, I did not really get to that point, because I was like, I work fine off like 6 hours sleep. So it wasn't like I was getting like 2 hours sleep, but like my average for a night was like 5 to 6, not 6 to 7, 5 to 6 hours a night. I was like, this is fine. Like I'd work, I'd get up in the morning at like 5, go to the gym for like an hour and a half, come home, get ready for work, drive an hour away to work because I lived in a country town and worked in the next country town. Drive an hour to work 8 hours, drive back an hour, and then often then go and work like a 3 or 4 hour evening shift at a second job. And similar on weekends, I'd get up, I'd work like all day, and I'd just fit training in around it. There was a point where I was like, if I'd missed the session in the morning for whatever reason, I'd work all day, work in the evening, and then go to the gym at 10 p.m. And then I was going at 10 p.m, not getting to sleep till midnight, and then still getting up at 5 the next day to go back to the gym. So, like, it never really got to a point where I can't keep living like this, because I was like, this is fine, I'm functioning, like I'm fine as long as I get bare minimum of like 5 hours. Like the days where I got less than 5 hours, I was like, I'm not functioning that great, but I'm like, it's not all the time. So I was like, it's fine. The biggest time I think that I realized how important sleep was once I actually moved to the UK, once I'd done a lot of work on my relationship with exercise and food already, and I was in a really good place. And it was actually when I got my coach at the start of last year. And he didn't even say anything to me about sleep, but it was when I really wanted to focus on my strength training. And I'd already improved my sleep a little bit, like getting like sort of from 5 to 6 hours sleep moved to like 6 to 7. And I was like, you know what, I'm diving into this strength training. I may as well dive into the recovery as well and have a good, like, red hot go at getting more sleep. I also wasn't working for someone else at this time. I was like finishing up at my job, moving into the last part of my study to become a coach. And I was focusing on like just getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night. And it was once I started doing that and started sleeping 7+ hours a night, so there was never a moment where I was like, oh, I can't live like this anymore. But once I started getting more sleep, I was like, oh, is this how you're supposed to feel? I thought I felt great all the time, but you could actually feel better than what I was feeling. Like, what you think is working for you because you don't know anything else and you're functioning what you feel like is really well on it. Like, you don't realize until you are getting more sleep or you are training less or you do have more balance. You're like, oh, so this is what it's supposed to be like. So it was more like after I started doing the work, I realized, oh, I've been neglecting myself for so long.
Yeah. And sleep tends to be the first thing to go. Like, you know, everyone. like it's the first thing that, like, doom scrolling, whatever it is, it's like it just gets sort of abandoned. So to someone that might have a similar attitude to what you did, why is it important that they don't neglect sleep?
Sleep is like the foundation of everything, and that's what I always say to my clients. I'm like, if you're like choosing between getting up really early for a session when for whatever reason you're going to bed late the night before, and if you're feeling really run down or tired, always pick the sleep over the session. Like, always pick the sleep, because that will make a far greater difference. Most of my clients, not all of them, but most of them have fat loss goals. We all know how fucking hard it is to stick to a calorie deficit when you're sleep deprived and your decision making capabilities go out the fucking window because you're just like tired and grumpy and hungry. And so, like, I just tell people, like, you will get closer to your goals if you can sleep just that little bit more. Always prioritize sleep. Now, if you're someone who, like, I'm telling, always prioritize sleep, and that means you never get your training in, obviously then we need to look at your routine and your schedule. But if it's an occasional thing where you're like, oh, I'm torn between these two, always pick the sleep.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you want to make someone's day really bad, like, the first thing that you do is put them on 2 hours sleep.
Yeah,
like,
oh my god, 2 hours and I'm a mess. Do you remember when we all got to Ibiza and we had to have a mess around with our schedule? So we all went to Ibiza last month, for anyone who's listening. Like, there was 8 online coaches in like this villa working and chilling for a week. And me and 2 of the other girls that went, we had to catch like a late night train from Manchester all the way down to London, and then like an early morning flight the next day. And so we were awake for nearly like 2 days straight by the time we got to Ibiza, we were not functioning. We were delusional. We were cranky. We were hangry. We were like, just put us on a sun lounge and don't talk to me. It was like so bad. And I think I got like 9 or 10 hours sleep that next night, which I never get that much sleep. My body won't stay asleep for that long.
Yeah.
But it was because I hadn't slept in 2 fucking days and I was a wreck.
Yeah, there was a similar situation I had, like, because I went at B for like first time a little bit before I came out with you guys, and essentially on the Monday I went out to David Guetta, and we stayed out like really late, and then we got back to his hostel, but it's like the size of my bed.
Yeah,
like that was the size of my room, and it was like all white, and I barely slept any hours because my fucking we had to be up early for the next day event at Social Circle, and then we also I had a roommate, and he's a fucking snorer, so so we went out again on the Tuesday, and then you chuck in drinking and that involved, and it's like 5 a.m. You've got anxiety that I was spinning. Like, talk about appetite through the roof, and like just general cognitive ability was just gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so sleep is definitely not something to neglect, and even just like a marginal improvement of like 1 hour, like, or 30 minutes.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
An hour. I always, when I'm trying to like plan my own sleep, I always think in the terms of sleep cycles. So if you've ever woken up in the morning and you're like, I got 8 hours sleep, but I feel groggy as fuck, and you're in like a daze and it takes you ages to come to it, often you've been pulled out of the middle of a sleep cycle. So a sleep cycle is 90 minutes, and you go through like the light sleep, the deep sleep, the REM sleep, all of that. And the sleep cycle is 90 minutes. So when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'd rather get 6 hours or 7.5 hours, like, because if you pull me out like in the middle of that, or like 7.5 or 9, because if you pull me out at like 8.5, I'm usually groggy as fuck because you've pulled me out in the middle of a sleep cycle. So I'm like always trying to think of it like, if I go to sleep now, I can get 4 sleep cycles or 5 sleep cycles or whatever.
That's super interesting. So do you know like what would be the sleep cycle where it's like you do wake up with that groggy feeling? Because sometimes people get like 9-10 hours. I'll wake up feeling like shit, as you mentioned. I'm like, huh? What's going on? So,
well, potentially you've been pulled out of the middle of one of those 90-minute cycles. So like in the first part of your cycle, it's like a light sleep, which is why you can have like a nap and still wake up, feel good. But like if you have a nap for like 45 to an hour, you're quite getting into that sort of deeper section of your sleep. And that's why like if you nap for an hour in the middle of the day and you wake up, you're like, what universe am I in? What's the time zone? Where am I? When you have like this, like you either need like a long nap or a short nap, because if you get pulled out in that in-between part, that's when you feel groggy as fuck.
Yeah. Oh, that's super fascinating. I've never actually thought about sleep like that. Like with a nap,
I don't know like the nitty-gritty and the science of it and exactly what parts of it. And like I'm not that like knowledgeable on it. All I know is the sleep cycle is about 90 minutes, and if you pull yourself out in one of those like deeper sections, that's why you feel groggy.
Shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
No, interesting. Like, cause it makes sense why like after a nap, like a 20-minute nap, I actually feel alright.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never really thought about it like that. So moving on then, like how do you sort of balance self-accountability with also being compassionate to yourself? Like making sure that you still go to training, but also then being like, right, fuck, I actually might need to rest, or I actually might need to sleep. How did you sort of integrate that?
I feel like not enough people talk about the fact that this is a skill, and it's something that has to be practiced. Like people just like, oh yeah, I just need to be more compassionate, and expect you to be able to flip it on like a switch. It's a skill like pretty much anything else in this life. It's something that you have to learn and you have to practice over time. I didn't just wake up one day and learn how to be compassionate with myself or learn how to hold myself accountable and know where the balance was. It's taken time and a lot of being a little bit too compassionate or a little bit being too accountable to get to the point where like now I feel like I've kind of struck a balance. And like it's not a switch that goes on and off. You will sort of lean towards one more or the other more depending on what like part of your life that you're in or what you're going through at that time. I know like at the moment with my training, I've got 2 comps in the next month, which means I have to make sure in the training aspect of my life, I am holding myself very accountable and I'm not letting that slip. Last month I dropped the ball a bit with my training. I got a bit slack with it. I was like dropping out parts of my sessions and not committing as much as I know that I can. I was leaning more towards the self-compassion side, whereas now I've got the 2 comps coming up. I'm like, no, I can't take the piss this month. I really have to lock in when it comes to my training. But like with my food this week, then that's probably slipped a little bit. I've been a little bit more on the self-compassion side. Like I've been really stressed. There's a lot going on. So I'm like, you know what? Food's not a priority as long as I'm training, as long as I'm not eating too little. I'd rather eat too much than too little at the moment because I need to be fueled for my comps. So like it is a balance and it is a fine line, and you're never going to be like getting that balance perfect all the time. You will sway one way or the other way at different points and in different aspects. You can be self-compassionate in one aspect while drilling down on another one, because like you can't be nailing it in every aspect of your life all the time, because something's always got to give.
Super interesting. And then on that then, like what would you sort of say to the younger version of Emmaline that was perhaps on the sort of 2 extreme sides of things, and like start maybe taking the baby steps towards developing this different perspective, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think before I was definitely more on the accountability side of things. I think like it's so prevalent these days, that whole like hustle culture. Like you've got to be working harder and be more disciplined and grind more and like all of that. And I was very much caught up in that. And it's something that I've had the discussion with lately with a lot of my clients who are stuck on that perfectionist mindset and that all or nothing mindset. And they're like, I have to do everything perfect or it's not worth doing. I actually saw a brilliant quote yesterday. I think he's called the Wealth Strength Coach. I found him this week. He has some excellent posts. But he said yesterday, he's like, it literally was, when all or nothing becomes just nothing. Because you commit to the all for like 20 minutes and then you're like, this is too hard, and you're just doing nothing. So you're like, it's not worth doing if it's not perfect, but then you're just doing nothing and you're not moving forward. So that was a brilliant thing I saw. But the question I've been asking my clients lately who are saying, I need to be perfect, I need to be all on it. I tell them that perfection and success are not the same thing. And I actually did a post on this recently, because I sit down and they go, oh, I have to do this and do this and do this and to get like everything right and to be perfect and to hit my goals. And I'm like, okay, cool. If we were sat here in a year's time and I asked you what has made your year successful, if you've had a really successful year, what has made that successful? What does that look like to you? And they're like, oh, I spent a lot of time with my family and friends, and I hit some of my training goals, and I really enjoyed my job, and like all of these things, and I feel good in my skin. And not once did they say, I tracked all my calories, I never missed a session, like I skipped all my social meals because my goals were more important. Like, because that shit is not successful to us. Like, sure, it might get us towards like the fat loss goal, but it at the detriment of what else. So rather than trying to think of, I need to do everything perfect all the time, think about what success looks like to you and what is actually going to bring you close to that success. And usually, rather than being all in on something, it's being a balance of a lot of things.
Yeah. No, that's a great fucking point. I think I remember seeing that reel on that, and I was like, that is so key, because like that's what we end up valuing, like one frame I like to think of is like you get to 80, fingers crossed, touch wood, whatever, but like, and
I'm
then
getting
you're
to 95.
And then you like sit there and you reflect back, and it's like you don't wish you spent more days in a calorie deficit, you know what I mean, or like you sacrificed like going out or like having a barbecue with your family or whatnot just to hit your fucking macros. Like it's really the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
So
Sam made a brilliant post on this, I think last year. Sam, who you had on I think you had him on the last episode. Yeah, he made a brilliant post, and he started it with like, I wish I could remember the way he worded it, but it was like basically like, I fucking didn't hit my fat loss goals. It was all that chocolate that I ate at Easter 3 months ago, and that's ruined everything for me. Like, you don't sit there and you don't think that. You don't think those 2 days over Easter is the reason that, by Christmas time you haven't got where you wanted. It's whatever happened between fucking Easter and Christmas. Like, those 2 days really don't matter.
So on that then, what would you say is the main problem, like, that stops people from getting over the period between like Easter and Christmas, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so what are people struggling with in between? What are, like, on a day-to-day basis? Yeah. I think that idea that everything has to be perfect, like I just said, like, they're so fixated on trying to get everything right rather than realizing if you show up 80% of the time and you do the things you need to do 80% of the time, then that's what moves you forward. Like, it's always about moving forward rather than fucking sprinting. Like, you don't, it doesn't have to be go, 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 go. One thing I like to say to people is if you can't include it while you're trying to get to your goal, particularly like a fat loss goal, like if you can't include the food while you're trying to get to a fat loss goal, how do you expect to include it to maintain it? Because you haven't learnt how that fits into your life. And if you're like, oh, I can't have chocolate because I'm on a diet, or I can't go out for dinner because I'm on a diet, and then you get to the end of it, and then all of a sudden you're eating chocolate again and you're going out for meals with friends, and you haven't figured out how that balance fits in, typically that's when you find that you gain back the fat and that you lose the result. Yeah. So if you just take it a little bit slower, and like, it doesn't mean take the piss. It doesn't mean go out for, you know, half your meals in the week. It doesn't mean eat a family block of chocolate every night. But learning how to include small bits of these things in your life and realizing they're not going to set you back as long as you keep doing the shit the rest of the time. Yeah.
How long have you been coaching for now?
I've just ticked over a year. I'm still a baby to the industry.
That's fucking mad. Because I remember seeing you at IFS back in Brighton, and it's just like, nothing, literally, no following, not really.
Yeah, I think I launched my account a month earlier when we were at IFS in Brighton, which will be coming up 2 years ago. I just launched my account. I was just like looking into studying coaching. Like, I was super new to it. But obviously I've been trading for 8 years. I've been on my own fucking roller coaster of shit. Of like emotional eating, binge eating, poor relationship with food and exercise. So like, I think people are like, oh yeah, I need this qualification and this qualification. I need to like all this study and things like that. But ultimately what I find helps me most with my clients, like, yes, I've learned a lot from other coaches and through like events I've attended and things like that definitely helps. And like further education definitely helps. But what I learned in my PT course, I fucking use none of that. Like maybe 5% of it. 90% of what I use with my clients is real life experience and things that I've been through, because coaching is about the connection that you make with someone. And like when I get on a call with people the first time, I go, what made you reach out to me? Why me? Where'd you find me? All of that. They go, you're real and you're relatable and you make it feel like it doesn't have to be perfect and I can actually do this shit. And that's all that people want. They want a real person on the other end of the phone. Coaching is not a PDF plan and off you go. It's a real person helping you through it.
Yeah. And on that then, has there been anything that you've changed your mind on since you started coaching?
I think like maybe not necessarily like changed my mind on like a black and white sort of thing, because I try not to think too much in terms of black and white thinking. But there's definitely things that like I've expanded my knowledge on and my like approach in different ways. Like I know very much so, and this is actually thank you to my own coach who's taught me a lot about training. Like I was very much of the mindset like there's kind of like a right way and a wrong way to do things, especially when it comes to like form and technique and programming and things like that. And he's sort of taught me more actually like you've got to lean into a bit more what each individual person is like, how they're built, what their goals are. You know, one person's squat is not going to look the same as the next person's squat, and it doesn't mean that one of them's wrong. There's always going to be like safer ways to do things, but ultimately it's just making sure the load management is right and you're not overdoing it and trying to lift too heavy before you've found a technique that works for you. And everyone's like technique is gonna look slightly different, and there is no right and wrong. There is more wrong or less wrong. Like, or better would be like more or less unsafe or compromised in that position. But ultimately, if you start with a piss weak way and then you build up in like a technically poor form sort of position, your body will build resilience in those positions. Like, people see me lift. I've literally had this conversation this week with a client. She's like, how do you bend your back so much when you're picking up a rock and it doesn't hurt and it doesn't injure you? And I'm like, well, one, I started small and I've built up a lot of strength in those positions. But also, two, like, if backs weren't made to bend, they wouldn't. Like, their backs are made to bend and twist and move. So you just start light and you build up strength in those positions and then you're good to go. Like, you don't have to, like, people are so afraid to bend their backs on everything. And to be fair, that would be something that, like, I've probably have flipped a little bit, because it wasn't that it was like a right or wrong thing, but I was definitely one of those people that used to be afraid of bending my back, and now I'm like, nah, let's go, let's hunch over a rock and let's pick it up. I think there's too much fear mongering around everything has to be perfect in your training, and it doesn't.
That's one thing you taught me as well, quite ironically. Like, I remember the training session we had together, and I was like, why the fuck is your upper back rounding? Like, what is going on during the deadlift? I'm like, but then that's when you taught me, like, yeah, it's like form is nuanced, it's person dependent, and it looks different for multiple people. And as long as the principle, they're safe and doing it somewhat correctly, that's what matters. And then on that, you mentioned, like, not thinking in black or white. Why bother?
Why do I not try and think in black or white?
Yeah, like, why is it important? Like, surely it's easier to just sort of categorize things as right, wrong. Like, this is the way, this is not the way.
Because everyone is different and everyone needs a different approach. If I thought in black and white thinking, I'd give every single one of my clients the same approach to fat loss and the same approach to their training. Because I would be like, this is the way we should train, this is the way we should eat. And it's not the case. Like, the girl in her late 20s who has, like, no kids, no partner, who works normal hours in a job and has heaps of free time, her training schedule and her goals are going to look very different to the single mum with 3 kids working 2 jobs. They're not getting the same training. They're not getting the same approach to nutrition, like, because they have different amounts of time and energy to give to something. So, like, if we get stuck in this, like, whole mindset of, like, it has to be done this way, that's when you start hearing people going, you just don't want it bad enough, you're not disciplined enough, try harder. No, people have different lives and different demands and different goals. We don't all have to want the same thing, and we don't all have to do the same thing to get there. And I think it's actually really harmful for us to be thinking that everything has to be done a certain way, because it's definitely not the case.
Yeah. When I went to Paul Mort's coaching academy, actually, like, he said a fantastic quote. I might butcher it, but it's like, he was on the topic of, like, discipline and willpower, because, you know, you don't ever need discipline for something that you genuinely enjoy doing. And it's like, it's not that you're the problem, it's either the goal or the strategy you have towards it, which might be.
I really like that whole discipline thing. Have you heard what Lewis says on that? That discipline is just, like, socially acceptable. Like
I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Let's go.
Have you heard Lewis say this?
I haven't heard Lewis, but it's been such an interesting thing, because obviously I used to be in the crowd of, like, yeah, it's just discipline. Changed my mind a lot on what I think it is now. But yeah, what does Lewis think? And
I wish I could remember exactly what he said. Lewis is has mentored us both at different points. For anyone that's wondering, he's a fucking genius when it comes to mindset.
Vouch that.
But it was something along the lines of, like, he was explaining where motivation comes from, and it was like, discipline is just, like, commitment to behaviors that are socially acceptable. So, like, you look at someone like a bodybuilder and, like, who is, like, really rigid with their training and their diet, and a coach like you and I might look at that and go, well, that's actually bordering into obsessive, and he's sacrificing a lot of other parts of their lives. But, like, people see that as discipline because it's socially acceptable, because it seems like a health and fitness goal. So, you know, people that are, like, sacrificing one thing to go after something can often just seem like a lot of discipline. Whereas if you're committed to sitting on the couch every single night and eating a tub of ice cream and watching 3 movies back to back, and you do that every single night without fail, you are disciplined as fuck. You are sticking to something. But it's just not deemed as socially acceptable because it's not necessarily seen as something that's healthy to do. Therefore, you're not seen as disciplined. But you are actually disciplined. It's not a socially acceptable behaviour.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, anything that requires physical challenge is just automatically classed as discipline.
Yeah,
like, and
100%.
that seems to be the filter of, like, oh yeah, how disciplined are you? Yeah. So on training as well, and like discipline with training and whatnot, you've had a lot of shit on socials for lifting weights, apparently looking like a man or whatnot. I think it's really I think lifting weights is obviously so incredibly important, actually building more muscle, like for health, self-esteem, whatever. So can you just like explore that a little bit more for me? And also like there's a narrative like lifting weights makes you bulky still.
Yeah.
So
that's something that needs to die in a ditch, that myth. Get in the bin. Lifting weights will not make you bulky. It's something I'm very passionate about, particularly because it's something I believed at the start of my own fitness journey. And people, like, I've actually had people comment on my post when I've spoken about it before. They're like, oh, no one believes this anymore. And I'm like, bullshit, no one believes this anymore. I'm a coach. I literally had a client call last week with someone who's just started. They're like saying, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky. And I sat there, I slid my chair back from the camera, and I was like, do I look bulky to you? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I've been lifting heavy ass weights for 8 years. She's like, oh. I was like, you're not gonna get bulky. I've been trying. Trust me. Like, women don't naturally have like the hormones for that. Like, you're not naturally going to get bulky as a woman. You might build more muscle, you may get more toned, which is what everyone's trying. Toned is just a fancy female marketing term for build more muscle and lose some fat, because women for so long have been scared of getting muscular. And I love that the shift is coming away from that, and that it's becoming more important for like women are realizing the importance of strength training. And so often now I'm getting women come to me like, I want to build a body that's going to serve me and look after me for years to come. And I'm like, yes, queen, this is what we want. Or they just like, I want to be a badass and I want to be powerful and I want to deadlift twice my body weight and do cool shit. So I think like we do still see it, but far less than we saw it when I started my own fitness journey. Claudia said something brilliant yesterday when we were recording our own podcast, actually, and she said when she gets people come to her that are scared of looking bulky, she's like they say like, oh, I want to build a booty or whatever, I want to build a fat ass, and she's like, okay, what do you have to do to build a fat ass? She's like, oh, I have to eat and I have to train really hard for a long time and then it'll build. I'm like, and she's like, yeah, cool, okay, so why do you think like 10 reps of a bicep curl and you're gonna bloody look like Arnie? Like, you know the work that goes into building the muscle for building a booty, so why is your upper body any different? Like, you can't accidentally become bulky. It does not happen by accident. And even if you did feel like you were going that way, like, you could stop or dial things back. But I am yet to find someone who gets into their strength training and goes, whoa, I think I'm getting a bit bulky here, I might dial back. Hasn't happened yet.
Fucking trying myself. I'm trying myself. Like, it's been 2 to 3 years almost, and I'm like, I'm not even a fraction of where I want to be yet. But yeah, no. And how is sort of your relationship to failure then? Like, because I'm imagining like you would have gone to training and lifts wouldn't have been done. Maybe you got an injury, maybe fucking...
Or 12.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or maybe shit just didn't move, like your fucking sleep, your whatever, diet, everything's on point. So how do you overcome them sort of mental challenges?
Yeah, I think, like, again, it's a skill. Improving your relationship with failure is a skill. You don't just wake up one day and be okay with being shit at something. Because no one... let's be real, no one loves being shit at something. But to get good at something, you have to be shit first. You can't, like, very few people, unless you're, like, genetically gifted, pick something up and are instantly good at it. Now, I am very fortunate that my skill acquisition is very good. So, like, if someone explains something to me, especially when it comes to lifting, or shows me something, I can tend to, like, mimic that to, like, 80% pretty much off the get-go. So, like, that's really fortunate for me, but it doesn't mean I don't still have shit days and I don't still struggle to pick up on things and I don't have failed lifts. The amount of shit that I have failed in the last, like, few years, not just in lifting, but in life, like, try moving across the entire world with no visa and no job, and then, like, having to, like, when I launched my coaching, I had, like, less than 100 pounds across all my accounts, and rent due in a week. Most people would see that as a fucking failure because I had no money and no really solid plan, like no locked in plan. I was like, I gotta launch coaching this week, I gotta pray that people sign up, and that's how I'm paying my rent this week. And it worked. And I think sometimes a little bit of delusion goes a long way. But lots of people would see that as a failure. Because like I wasn't stable, but I don't think you need stability. I think you just need to like be committed to a goal and have a little bit of that delusion that things will work out. But in terms of like overcoming injuries and failure in training, I tell this to everyone. The only surefire way to not get closer to your goals, whether that's a fat loss goal, whether that's a training goal, whatever your goal is, the only surefire way to not get closer to your goals is to quit. And because if you quit, you're not moving forward, are you? But if you get up and you move forward again, you are still getting closer to your goals. You may have had to take a different direction. You may have hit several bumps in the road along the way. Goodness knows mine has been like fucking four-wheel driving up a rocky mountain. But it doesn't matter because I'm still moving forward. Like, the amount of injuries I've gotten in the last year is insane, and they just keep flaring up again. But it doesn't matter because you find ways to work around it, and you take different approaches, and you focus on something else. And I think always having something else to focus on, or having that mindset of like, if I just keep moving forward, it will be fine. And it doesn't mean it's not hard. Last year when I did my back and I couldn't get out of bed for like a fucking week, like, I was just like, I was so frustrated. And it was actually like, it got to a few weeks later and I committed to the rehab because I'm like, the only way to keep moving forward is to commit to the rehab. And I got 4 weeks in and my back twinged again and I was back in bed again. And I was like, what's the last month been for? What's been the fucking point of this? Because I've been working so hard to get my back better again where I could lift, and now I'm back in pain. Yeah. And I had a little bit of a meltdown to my coach. He's like, it's all right, just see how it feels in a day or two. And what do you know, in a day or two, I was feeling good again, and it was just a little twinge, it was just a scare, it was nothing to worry about, and I was still moving forward. So you've just got to keep getting back up and moving forward. And one quote that really sticks with me when it comes to failure is, successful people have just failed more times than you have. Because success doesn't come through no failure. Success comes through failing again and again and again, and getting back up and trying something new.
Yeah, 100%. I just need to quickly pause the podcast.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm busting for a toilet.
That's fine.
Right. Yeah, cool, it's starting again. I think on the topic of like relationship with failure as well, it depends what you set your success metric on as well. I think like one big shift for me personally was like, participating is me succeeding, and like removing sort of this expectation on any outcomes. Like if I walk into the arena and I try attempt a 140 kilo deadlift with a weak back, like whether I lift the weight or not, the fact I attempted is sick, and at the end of the day it's just feedback. And I love what you said in terms of like, the only way you lose, the only way you truly fuck this all up is if you quit. Like that's it. Also, I think you're a bit of a madman, because like
well, I mean, I know, but I'd love to know where this is going.
No, but like, what the fuck kept you going? Like, you know, you've launched a coaching business, like I'll take you back to last year, launched a coaching business, less than £100 to your name, and you still kept going. You still have the commitment, the consistency to show up, not like just for yourself, really. So what sort of kept you going?
We don't have another option. What's the alternative to keeping going? Like, there is no alternative. Like, and like, I just think, if I give up, then I don't get to live the life that I want. I really love coaching. I really love seeing people break through mental barriers that they like thought that they would never be able to break through. People having these relationship with food wins, going out for dinner with friends that would have stressed them out previously, lifting a weight that they never thought they were capable. I fucking love it. So why would I quit on that dream of continuing to help people to go back and work a 9 to 5, which I didn't hate. I've worked jobs that I liked, and it's been something that's very important to me for most of my life, is like, I don't have to love it. And it doesn't have to be my forever, but I still want to make sure I enjoy the thing that I'm showing up to do every day. And so, like, why would I go back to that when I really enjoy what I am? Ooh, Pardon me. That came out of nowhere. You can chop that if you want.
All good.
I'm going back to not getting everything perfect. But why would I give up on that dream? Like, when I enjoy it so much, and it's like, it hasn't always been easy, and there's definitely been some months where, you know, you lose a few clients because it always seems to come in waves, and you realize it's not really typically through any fault of your own. That's just life, and that's just the nature of the job. It's not a stable job with a stable income, but you get up and you keep moving because there's still people out there that need to be helped, and like, we still enjoy what we do. So like, I just kind of see it as there's no alternative other than to keep going, even if sometimes that looks different than what I expect and the journey takes a different turn. As long as I'm moving forward, it doesn't really matter.
Love that. It's like the same principle as well, like failing forwards. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily that you are sort of quote unquote failing, but even if you aren't sort of meeting these whatever fucking expectations from society, whatever, right? That shit. Like, as long as you're moving forwards and it's baby steps,
But
that's
like,
what matters.
who cares what society says? Why are you trying to live up to what society wants you to do? Or literally anyone wants you to do. Your friends, your family. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. You're the only one who is guaranteed to always have your back. Like, everyone else in this life, we have wonderful people in our lives, but there is no guarantee that they couldn't turn around one day and change their mind. So you are the only person you have to live with for the rest of your life. So you may as well enjoy it, and you may as well be happy, because like, otherwise you're just setting yourself up for a life that you don't enjoy. And what fun is that? We only get one life. We may as well do something we bloody enjoy.
Yeah. On that, because like, the only person that's really with us all the time is ourselves, right? Was there a time where you was like just constantly unhappy with yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I think we all, or no, maybe not all, but a lot of people go through that, where there's phases in their life that they're unhappy with themselves and what they're doing. And I've definitely had times in my life where, like, I think I've fortunate to say that I've always been a very positive person, and I've always been of the mindset that shit will get better. But there's certainly been times where I'm sitting there going, when will shit get better? Because it is not seeming to get better, it is only seeming to get worse. And like, it'll feel like months and months and months go by, and you're like, the shit is not getting better yet. I know it will, but fuck me.
Taking its time.
It's taken a sweet ass time. So I think there's definitely been times like that when, you know, my relationship with food has been at rock bottom, and I've been binging multiple times a week, or I've been stuck in like really unhealthy relationships and things like that, or working crazy hours for what feels like no return at the time. So there's definitely been times in my life where I have been unhappy, but as I said, I just had this mindset of shit will eventually get better. I always tell people, like, things will always work out because they have to. There is no alternative. There is no alternative to things working out, and they don't always work out how you plan, but there is no alternative to them working out.
Love that. Things might not work out as you fucking plan. That is
Yeah.
sick. So, with that then, like, you mentioned obviously something like that you kept reminding yourself of, in terms of like, things will eventually get better. Might just take a little bit longer than what you thought. So, was there anything else that helped sort of bridge the gap between becoming more sort of okay and happy with yourself, or?
I think just like realigning expectations. So, like, as I said, redefining. That's the word I was looking for. Good one. Redefining expectations. Like, taking it back to, like, things aren't always going to look perfect, and you're not always going to be smashing it in every area at once. But if you can always just still be moving forward, or you can always find something that you're enjoying. So, like, you know, for me, my training is a really big one. I always enjoy, or predominantly always enjoy, my training. So like, when everything else in my life feels like it's falling apart, I know I can get into the gym, put my headphones on, lift some heavy shit, and it's typically going to make me feel better. Downside of that is when my training goes to shit, then life really is gone to shit, because I'm like, if I don't feel better training, I don't know what's going wrong now.
Yeah.
But then, you know, there's always other things in your life you can look up to, and I can go, oh, well, my friendships are really good and I know they're good for me, so I'll spend some more time with them and that'll make me feel better. Or maybe business is going really well at the moment, even if I'm getting injured left, right and center and my training's falling apart. So like, don't expect that everything in life is going to go the way you want it to all at once. Sometimes it might, and that'll be fucking great. We love when that happens. But not everything can go amazing all at once. So as long as you're always just looking for something that is going okay for you and focusing on that and the enjoyment that you get from that, there's always something to look forward to.
Yeah. It obviously doesn't help, like, with this, that our brains are, like, naturally programmed to always seek the negatives within every situation.
Yeah.
And, like, constantly want to be sort of fix, because that's, like, how we were sort of wired.
Yeah.
And still are, to be fair, like, hundreds of thousands of years ago now. Like, one thing I personally really enjoy is understanding how we became to be and, like, why we behave the way we do, but looking at it from, like, an evolutionary perspective. Like, for example, why are fats so yummy? Like, whether it's cashew nuts or, like, a lovely donut. Well, it's because it's so calorie dense, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bit of a tangent. So, with expectation management then, how do you personally go about shifting them? Like, from perhaps whatever life's meant to look like and just changing it, if that makes sense?
I try not to set too many expectations, particularly in the last few years. I've learnt very much so that my life hasn't gone the way that I thought it would. And it's gone so much better. And so I've sort of stopped saying, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing in 6 months or 12 months or whatever. I can say, this is what I think I might be doing, but I don't like set anything in stone of this is what I want to do or this is what I will do or anything like that, because so many things chop and change all the time. But also just set your expectations based on what you want and what will make you happy. Don't set them based on where you think you should be, where you think society makes you feel like you should be, where the people around you are, where they say you should be. Like, if I listened to everyone around me, I'd have a huge group coaching platform by now, because everyone says, go do group coaching, you've got the platform for it, you've got the audience for it, you've got the demographic for it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I know that's what I've got and what I could be doing. But right now, what's important to me is my training and my strong woman career, my time with my friends, and travel. And I know that launching a group coaching platform, whilst over time it will kind of run itself and I will learn how it works, the initial setup in the first several months will probably be quite stressful and take all my energy and all my resources. And I'm not at a point in my life where I want to give my time and energy to that, because other things are more important to me. And so I'm focusing on my one-to-one coaching, and that's what I really enjoy, and that's what makes me happy. And I know I can launch the group coaching later, and I can do it really well when I do it, rather than doing it from a place of external pressure. I can do it because I'm ready, and it's because it's something that I want to do. So don't set your expectations on what the world expects of you and what the people around expect of you. Set them on what you want for yourself and what makes you genuinely happy.
That's sick, by the way. That was sick. But enjoyment seems to be a recurring theme in this.
Yeah, enjoyment is everything. And like for example, I've got a strong woman comp in 2 days. I'm having to go up a class because I've done really well in my novice and now I'm moving into inters. Rude. I've only been doing the sport 6 months. But yeah, so I'm going up a class, and I was winning first place in the novice category. Now, if I set the expectation, well, I've won first place in the novice category, so I should be landing on podiums in the inters category as well. That's it's a lot of pressure for me to take on, and that's a really high expectation of me to set on myself. And it doesn't mean that I'm not capable of it, depending on who else shows up on the day, what the events are, all of that. But if I set that expectation on myself, I'm very unlikely to enjoy the day, and I'm more likely to be stressed. Whereas what I've done is I've set my own personal goals of what I know I can achieve, so it's got a deadlift in it. I've set an expectation of what I think I can lift on the deadlift, on a bad day. I'm not setting it on the expectation of if everything goes to plan, I can pull this. No, I'm setting it on what I think I can hit on a bad day and what I think I can do without too much stress. And I'm setting those mini goals for myself based on being able to enjoy the day and hitting things that I know I'm capable of and things that'll make me proud if I hit those when I walk away. I don't need to make anyone else proud. I need to make myself proud. But if I put the pressure on me that, like, I'm capable of winning, so I have to win, I'm not going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be stressed the whole time. And I'm probably going to put in a worse performance. Whereas if I chill out, I'm probably going to end up doing a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Pressure. Sometimes people refer to, like, pressure as a privilege. What's your thoughts on that?
What do you mean by pressure is a privilege?
So, like, for example, if you have the pressure to perform or, like, the potential chance to win a competition, you should see that as a privilege compared to something that's, like, almost harmful to your performance in a way.
Do you mean, like, I should feel privileged that I'm in a position where I think I could be on a podium kind of thing? What do you... Yeah,
so essentially, so, like, for example, like, just to throw this out there, like, when I did, like, a speaking event, like, having that pressure there is sort of a privilege in a way to, like, to perform, like, it's sort of a positive thing there. Have you heard of that or no?
I haven't heard the pressure is a privilege. I don't agree or disagree with the sentiment, because obviously if you've got pressure, it's because typically you are doing well at something. So it kind of is a privilege to be doing well at something. But also, if you're doing well at something, typically you're there because you've worked for it. So I don't think we should necessarily see it as a privilege to be in a position to be under pressure for something that we've worked to get to.
Could you say that, like, pressure's like... Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about it. Could you say, like, pressure's earned then?
Yeah, to a degree. But is the pressure internal or external?
Yeah, that would matter, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Because let's be real, most pressure is internal. How often, like at your speaking event, I guarantee you had no one coming up to you going, you need to do really well at this. Everyone's looking at you. You need to nail this. You need to smash it. No one's saying that. Everyone's probably saying to you, you are going to smash it. You're really good at what you do. You're going to be amazing. And it's you that is creating the pressure on yourself to do well. The same as what I said about my comp. No one's coming up to me going, oh, you should win this. You're going to smash. Like there's an expectation of you to land on that podium. I've got people going, you're really good at what you do. You're going to do really well. But, like, it's up to me to decide how I kind of accept that feedback and accept that pressure and what pressure I want to put on myself. Like, people don't realize how much we have a say in that pressure because it's a choice, ultimately. The thoughts that we feed ourselves are just thoughts and we can change them. And how they manifest into actions, because while they're in our head, they're just thoughts and they're just feelings, and it's how we put them into action that becomes who we are.
Yeah. One reframe I like with pressure as well, because, like, that's something, like, I think everyone goes through it where they deal with a lot of internal pressure. I think it just reflects how much you probably care as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you know, and just reminding myself of that, okay, all of this it just means I fucking care a lot, but is there a way where I can harvest this in a way that actually supports me and doesn't, like, actually hinder my performance in a way?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Like, if there is pressure, it is because it means a lot to you. It is important to you, and it's good to have these things that are important to you. And I'm not saying that we should live a life that's pressure free, because sometimes, like they say, what diamonds are made under pressure. Sometimes you do need a little bit of pressure. You do need to be a little bit revved up to kind of make you take action, but it shouldn't be. It's when the pressure becomes to your detriment and it affects your performance, because you're putting such high expectations on yourself of doing well that you often don't end up doing well because you're so fucking stressed.
Yeah, and it's just like when there's too much pressure as well, it's like everything sort of becomes like stiff. There's an analogy where, you know, you got boats, right? You got like these really small boats, and at the back they've got like an engine, and they've got like a tiller thing, I think it's called, and it like directs it.
We'd call them a tinny.
Yeah. Okay, a tinny. Like,
a tinny. But it's a tiny little boat that you go out fishing on, and they've literally just got a little motor on the back. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the harder you grip and the more pressure you apply on yourself, like the harder it is to actually steer the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you like loosen the grip ever so slightly, like, you still need some pressure, but then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like, you can actually like navigate your way through it a lot easier, and it becomes
Yeah.
a bit more like not only just enjoyable, you're not fucking like falling out and splashing your face with water and shit, like, but the actual process of like enjoying the journey, which is so key,
so key.
becomes like, yeah, it becomes a bit more fun.
Yeah. What do you think of the idea that of like, obviously you just mentioned they're enjoying the journey. I'm spitting this back on you, asking you questions now. But I think like so many people are so outcome focused rather than journey focused. Have you found that of yourself, or something you see a lot with your clients, and how do you reframe it?
Great question.
You weren't expecting me to flip it back on
No,
you.
no, I definitely wasn't. No, I've been someone that's chased outcomes like for as long as I can remember, and it's only recently where going to Ibiza actually gave me a new insight in terms of what life could look like.
Yeah.
Like fucking hell, like being surrounded by a bunch of sick people and just having fun and Ushuaia and all of that. I still fucking look at all them videos like most days, to be fair. But it was just sort of a different perspective, because I realised like at the end of this, like, you don't really escape. Like, when I say escape,
no one gets out alive.
Yeah, literally that. Like that's the point, right? And at the end of the day, the only thing you have right now is the moment, and like the current thing you enjoy. Yeah, the journey might be a little bit shit. You might be a bit dampened. Things might be going a bit sort of fucking left. But hey, like that just makes a better story. And it's ironic.
You don't like get a flat tire halfway to your destination and go, well, once this tire's back on, I'm going to turn around and go home. You still go on the fucking holiday. You still keep moving forward.
Exactly. And then it's like you've already achieved outcomes that you said that would make you happy.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it was like a quote like, how lucky are we to be stressed in pursuit of something that like we enjoy, that makes us happy. Like the pressure is coming from like, we might be stressed about something, but it's because we're chasing after something that means something to us and that we enjoy.
Yeah, 100%. I think reframing is such a powerful thing, and changing your perspective, because you mentioned there, like, in terms of your thoughts, these thoughts lead to choices leads to action leads to experience leads to new feelings, right? So if you can like sort of be offered a different way of thinking, like, rather than, because one thing I've noticed with yourself just on this podcast and what you do with you always ask them questions.
Yeah,
like,
it's important.
And yeah, like, you know what I mean? Because you help people sort of come to their own insights. Like, even when you push away your chair and you stand up, you ask them, do I look bulky?
Yeah.
It's like, no. And it's like, like,
you need them to come to their own realization. If you're just telling people what to do, you're not coaching. You need them to come to their own realizations and their own decisions, because otherwise they're never going to make that change. Like, I think that's so important, because if I just told them you need to do this or you need to do that, they're never going to understand the why, and understanding the why is so important to getting to where you want to be.
How come?
Because if you don't have a purpose behind what you're doing, like, there's no real motivation or driving factor. If I just said I'm going to the gym, but I don't know why, I don't know what the point is, I don't know what outcome I'm working towards, there's very little desire to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But if I go, I'm going there because I have a goal to lift this, or I've got a goal to compete in strongwoman, or whatever it is. And even if it's something like as simple as I'm going because I want to feel good in my body, and I know that lifting something makes me feel good. Like, knowing your own why behind why you do something. Or even, like, I love when clients come to me with questions about, oh, you've put this exercise in my program. What is that there for? Why is that there? And them trying to understand their own programming even, I think is really good, because even if they understand exactly the exercises they're doing and why I put them in the program, they're more likely to enjoy doing them, because they're like, you know, this accessory movement is in here to help my deadlift, and I want to build a big deadlift, so I'm more motivated to do my accessory work because I know that's helping me to get to this.
Yeah, I think, that's one thing I learned as well, in terms of like, we only really do what we value, and it's like always the sort of I'm not going to go into that because I don't know enough about it yet, but like in terms of just underlying motive, like, you know, mention going to the gym, like, what's the fucking point if you don't see the value in it? or the value
Yeah.
might be feeling better, or the value might be training towards something, or the value might be like self-esteem in that regard. And like, yeah, because you will naturally prioritize what you genuinely believe is valuable to you.
Yeah.
I think.
You don't see people showing up to do things that they don't see value in. Even if you're doing a job that you hate, the value in going to that job that you hate is you get paid and you can put a roof over your head and food on your table. There is always value in something, and if you don't see the value in it, you're never going to show up and do it because it feels pointless.
Yeah. How do you help someone get to realize what perhaps their values are?
Questions. You ask them questions. Like, you know...
Do you have any like particular favourite questions that you ask people?
I think that one I asked earlier on about like perfect and success aren't the same thing. So what does success look like to you and what's important to you?
Stealing that.
Yeah. I am not going to lie. I don't know if my client will listen to this podcast, but I am not going to lie. That's not something I'd ever thought about before. I was literally just talking to her and it came out. And I'm sitting there trying to remain calm with Emmaline. That's a fucking banger. Where did that come from? The way I worded it and everything, I was like, that's really clever. Why haven't you thought of wording something like that before?
That is fucking sick, yeah.
Yeah, copyright that shit. But sometimes they do just come out and you're like, oh, that's really clever. I don't know where that came from. Obviously, like, I am clever. I'm good at my job. But, like, sometimes you think of things, like... Can you catch yourself off guard? But I think that's a really important question to ask yourself. Just like, you know, what does success mean to you and what does that look like to you? And then picking goals that align with that. And, you know, getting people to find their values and their why. Like, you know, they say that they've got a fat loss goal, but then they're stressed about going out for dinner with friends because they're worried it'll ruin the fat loss goal. I'm like, so why are you stressed about it? Because it'll ruin my fat loss goal. What's important to you? Spending time with my friends. Okay. These two aren't lining up. What's more important to you? Where do your values lie? Oh, well, actually, I do think that overall spending time with my friends is more important. But how do I do it without, like, ruining my goals here? And that's where we come in, because we help them find that balance. And we go, oh, well, let's look at it from this perspective or this perspective, and let's balance things out here.
Yeah. 100%. And like going back to what we spoke about earlier with like relationship to failure, just be curious and willing to try like so many different things that will potentially work for you or potentially don't, like, and especially looking at your history as well. Like if you have a previous past of like dieting, crazy diets or whatnot, like maybe avoid certain elements of that and still sort of what did work, perhaps like self-monitoring or self-accountability or whatnot. Yeah, I think that's also an important element. Also, because we're going to round the podcast off soon, what is the most recent uncomfortable thing that you've done, but it's helped shape who you are today?
Oh, that's a bloody good question. I don't know. I'm sure I do uncomfortable shit all the time, but I don't necessarily think about it as being uncomfortable because I'm so much myself in that mindset of, oh, well, it's all moving me forward. Like I've gotten like more comfortable with the idea of public speaking and stuff now. I love trying new things like in the gym. Like I don't even mind going on first dates and meeting new people because I'm like, well, if they like me, they like me, and they don't, they don't. I'm like, I'm not fixed like or attached to an outcome. So I don't know about something that's made me uncomfortable. Yeah, what was that? That was the question. What's something I've done that's made me uncomfortable?
Yeah, like whether it's uncomfortable, what was the last thing that you did that genuinely scared the living shit out of you, but you're so glad you did it?
I'm trying to think recently, and I don't know if there's anything
recent
that I've
could be like 1 to 5 years. Like it can be whatever. There's no time frame on it.
Yeah, I don't think like I've done anything super recently. Like not this year that's actually scared me because I love this mindset of everything will always work out because it has to. The last thing I've done that genuinely scared the shit out of me was probably public speaking the first time I did it, which was last year. That was terrifying. But I'm so glad I did it, and now I love public speaking. actually, I can tell you something that is coming up that's scaring the shit out of me. Because
Let's go.
I haven't had one yet this year. I am doing my first solo public speaking gig in 2 months' time. So, Sam and I did a few together last year, a few talks together, and I was like, well, if I go blank, Sam will just start talking. And I've done quite a few panels, and I love panels because there's no preparation. But doing my own talk does scare the shit out of me a little bit, and there's lots of things I'm telling myself in my head to kind of help me talk me off that ledge, like that it'll be fine, but it doesn't mean it doesn't still scare the shit out of me, because what if I get up there and I go blank?
Yeah, literally.
There's no one there standing next to me that can talk for me. It's me or me.
Yeah, I think that's wicked though, like courage. I think that's the definition of it. At the end of the day, it's not the absence of feeling fucking terrified that you're gonna bottle it. What will people? It's definitely not the, but it's actually the principle of it being there, but still doing the fucking thing anyways. And you mentioned like everything will work out. What else helps you take the action? Because like, for my old self, I'd be like, fuck that, brother. I'm gone. Like, let me turn left. Opposite way. Get me fucking running. So like, what's some things whether you say to yourself or remind yourself of? Is there anything that could perhaps help?
You've survived 100% of your worst days so far. Like, you are still here today. You have survived everything that you have thought that you wouldn't survive. Are you looking for a pen and paper to write that down?
I am. If you see it in an email, mind your business.
You've survived 100% of your worst days so far, whether it's been that heartbreak that left you feeling like a shell of yourself, or the injury you never thought you'd come back from, or moving across the fucking world with no clue what you were doing. Like, every single one of those things that you thought, how am I ever going to get out of this? You got out of it. So it doesn't matter. It comes back to that, like, everything will always work out because it has to, because you have survived 100% of the worst days so far. And I remind myself anytime I'm doing something scary or I'm doing something hard, I've done hard shit before and I figured it out, so I know I can do it again. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do it. It doesn't mean I have a plan. It doesn't mean I know how I'm going to get out of it. But every single time I have, so I know that I will.
Fucking sick. Well, thank you so much, Emmaline, for obviously time, attention, energy. Like, again, that was sick, and what a podcast it was.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
On that, is there anything on the horizon for you? Obviously, you got the solo speaking event upcoming. Anything else, or?
In terms of like business stuff, that's the only like thing I've got coming up is the solo speaking event. Like obviously, like it's an event with lots of other speakers, but it's the first time I'll be doing my talk alone. It's a fucking sick lineup. I've got a couple of strongman comps coming up. Yeah, they're probably the main things for me at the moment. I'm just focusing on training and the talk, and then just coaching and enjoying life.
Fucking sick.
What about you? What have you got coming up? No one will ever ask you that.
I've got a client event, London.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
You're running an event.
Yeah,
That's sick, bro. 6th
of September. I'm still figuring out the itinerary for it, but London, all of us are meeting up, going out for lunch together. Whether we do something like journaling and what, I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm just trying to think of what would be accessible to everyone. Got a half marathon this weekend with another client, which is sick.
Sick. You'll smash that.
Yeah, I can't wait to fucking see him do it, because this has been a long time coming. But that's predominantly it. And again, obviously seeing you next week. But
yeah, excited to catch up.
Yeah, like on the horizon, really, it's just about enjoyment, building, and just having fucking some routine, like, you know, and just focus on training too. Like, MMA has actually sorted out my mobility a lot.
Sick. I'm glad you followed that path.
But yeah, cool. On that, where can people find out more and stay up to date with yourself? Where can they find you?
My main one is Instagram, at Coach Emmaline on Instagram. It's the only one that I keep up with. I do have other platforms. Don't bother, I'm useless, and I'm going to put my hand up and say that. So yeah, the main one is Instagram. We've just launched our own podcast, me and my two housemates, and we've got that as well, the Spill Sesh podcast, second episode out in the next 24 hours. It's very new, so if you want to listen to me waffle some more, you can find me there, but Instagram is the main one.
Fucking sick. Right, cool. Thank you for anyone that's tuned in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Cheers.